I am Ethan Jach. My grandmother on my dad's side, Cecile Jach, grew up right outside of Cape Town, South Africa. She had two siblings, both boys. They lived in a non-Jewish community. Their neighbors were very anti-Semitic. They would harass them with dirty looks and foul language. They were all Orthodox. They kept Shabbat, kosher, and observed all of the holidays. They had a lot of Jewish culture in their lives. They were very Zionist and ate Jewish foods. They mostly ate at home and rarely ate out. They all went to public school. They did not find it hard to be Jewish. My grandmother grew up and went to college in South Africa. She then became a librarian. She got married to Isaac Jach. They had 4 kids, 3 sons and 1 daughter. They bought a house in a Jewish community. Isaac was a doctor and had his practice built into the house. At this point, both of her siblings had moved to America. They remained Orthodox and lived close to a synagogue, which they belonged to and often attended. My dad had his bar mitzvah at an Orthodox synagogue nearby. He said it was a day that he would never forget. My dad and his siblings were all very close. I guess you could say he had a pretty happy childhood. My dad and his siblings all attended Jewish day school, yet were very involved in secular life. My dad was an extremely competitive swimmer. He would wake up at 5 a.m. to swim, as well as swim in the afternoon with his team. He participated in many competitions and would win or rank high in most of them. In his late teens, he trained very hard and went to the qualifiers for the South African Olympic swim team. Unfortunately, he injured himself training just before the qualifiers and was unable to participate. In the 1980s, there was a lot of political turmoil in South Africa. The apartheid was going on. There was legalized separation between blacks and whites. There were riots going on, and my family thought that it would be best to leave the country because tensions were only getting worse. My uncle was the first to move to America. In 1981, he and his wife immigrated to the United States and settled in a home in Potomac, Maryland, where they still live today. The rest of my family shortly followed, except for my aunt, who moved to London instead. My dad immigrated from the United States in 1986, where he attended the University of Maryland and became an engineer. My family moved to America because of the political problems arising in South Africa, not because of religious oppression, as Herberg's theory predicts. My dad grew up in a nice Jewish neighborhood and didn't experience religious oppression. They moved to America in order to avoid being caught up in the apartheid. Herberg's theory predicts that we would reform our religious beliefs after settling in America. This was not the case. My dad met my mom, who moved to Potomac from Miami, Florida. They got married and had 3 kids, me and my sisters, Alana and Amanda. Our parents raised us Orthodox. We belong to Beth Shalom, an Orthodox synagogue. We keep kosher and observe all of the holidays. My siblings and I are all bar and bat mitzvahed. We went against Herberg's theory and did not reform our religion. Herberg's theory also predicts that my generation would have lost touch with our South African roots. This is not true. My family still has very strong ties to their South African roots, and they even express South African culture in their daily lives. My family takes annual trips to South Africa and still has friends and relatives there who we keep in touch with. We make South African style food and have some family traditions. Throughout the past 3 generations, including my generation, we have stuck to our religious beliefs and preserved our culture and traditions.